Hey, Lee Robinson here at American Sentinel Canine. I hope you guys have a blessed day. The purpose of this video is to discuss canine science and a new series of videos that we are going to release. Over the last many years, I've encountered a lot of people that don't understand a lot of the basics, and it has led me to the conclusion that the industry as a whole is really missing a lot of basic fundamentals. And I'm sitting here laying in bed sometimes, tossing and turning about the things that I need to do, and it builds up some anxiety about things that I need to do, and we need to learn how to let that anxiety go. But part of that anxiety is a result of just being a driven person that lays down and thinks, okay, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, and that's because motivation. And I'm really kind of surprised at the number of people in the world of dogs that they want a lot of success and they're motivated out of an interest, but it's kind of like exercise. They don't go out and do the work. And so we're going to produce a video series called Canine Science, and we're going to host it on our YouTube channel. And I'm going to try to release a video maybe about once a week. We'll see how it goes, and I'll do the best that I can given my schedule. Some weeks I may not be able to make a new video, so to deal with that, what I'm going to do is try to make a series of videos ahead of time and release one a week to help people advance their knowledge in this field. For those of you that don't know, I do teach a college class in biology, and there's a lot of things that go on in the cell that may not seem like they have a lot to do with canine science, but when you get a true understanding of how the cell works and you really start to study the system as a whole, like endocrinology and whatnot, then you start to see how behavior and performance is influenced by many factors that are systemic within the organism as a whole. And also we're going to address some genetics, and I think it'll be educational and helpful to some people. And the reason why I want to do this is I have frequently encountered a massive proliferation or prolifera of information that is just incorrect, where people have the fundamentals, the basics wrong. And it's hard for them to really have an in-depth discussion when they think they know something and it's wrong. Their glass is completely full, there's no room for any truth. They've got these strong opinions on things that they never studied, and that's very unfortunate to me, because some of the basic fundamentals are not things that we need to be arguing or disagreeing on. Some of these things are they're not subjective. Some of these things are objective facts that we just have to learn. And we can argue about the subjectivity of topics, but we shouldn't be arguing about the objectivity of topics. And so the problem seems to be a combination of things. A lot of times it's ego, a lot of times it's ignorance, it's various things. People just have motives sometimes that are kind of disheartening. While there's different motives for why people get online, maybe it's just boredom for some people, maybe it's a massive interest, but regardless of what their motive is, the information that's available should be truthful and accurate. Let's say we have a cup, talking about the cup being half full or half empty. Before you have that conversation and discuss the subjective measure of is it half full or half empty, we all need to know the objective fact of this is a cup. And if we don't even agree on what is a cup, then having the conversation about is the cup half full or half empty is a bit ridiculous. So people need to go out and learn the basic terminology. They need to understand some basic biology, some basic endocrinology, some basic genetics, and some basic behavioral sciences, basic physiology. I've got 30 years of education in this field and 20 years of breeding and proof of concept. So before I started breeding, I spent 10 years developing my knowledge professionally, not with social media, okay? I went professionally, worked with professionals in the training industry. I worked at universities. I did research with endocrinology and reproductive physiology. This is how I started my program, was by developing an education. And if you don't do this, it's going to be a handicap to you in the future. So as far as the cup being half full or half empty, here's how I address that. If the cup is at the halfway mark, we can just observe it's at the halfway mark. And we can say, okay, that's objective. And the cup is objective. But whether it's full or empty kind of depends on which way you're going. If you're going up and you're filling up, you're making progress. I would call that half full because you're advancing. And if you're going down because you started with a full cup and you refuse to learn anything, and your cup is going down and down and down, in other ways, you're kind of destroying yourself. When, let's say you start off and you inherited $1 million, and after a couple years, you're down to 500,000. You're half empty. You're going to run out because you're going the wrong direction in life. You need to be going up. You need to be expanding your knowledge and expanding your skills so it's not half empty, because you don't want to run out. You want to build it, and then it'll be half full. And you can never really fill up your cup if you're really a learner, because there's always room to learn more. So that should be the approach of a professional canine breeder and a professional canine trainer. And to do that, we need to ask ourselves, who can do or explain what I cannot do or explain? And those people need to be our teachers. And while I certainly don't know it all, I do have a lifetime invested in this canine industry, and I would like to be able to share that information. And one of the things that I've noticed is I run out of patience when it comes to people that refuse to learn and don't know. I can still work with you if you refuse to learn, if you already know a ton, although it's still best to be willing to learn. But if you don't know anything, yet you're willing to learn, I'll be glad to help you. But if you don't know anything and you refuse to learn, sorry, I don't have room or patience for those type of people. Anyway, Lee Robinson and American Sentinel Canine, y'all have a blessed day.